We're joined now by Jimmy Patronis, who is the CFO of the state of Florida. Obviously, there's some news coming out of Florida, Dad. It's something that's been breaking the last few days, and we thought it'd be great to have someone who represents the state of Florida on.
Well, Jimmy Patronis and the Patronis family have been in Florida a long, long time. And, Jimmy, first of all, it's great having you on here, and thanks for making time. I just want to start. I've got a lot of questions to ask you because in your position as CFO, you handle a lot of the financial stuff, and I want to get into this IRS situation in a moment. But I want to start with this raid that took place in your state. And now we know that the judge that signed the search warrant recused himself from a civil case involving former President Trump and former Secretary of State Clinton, but he didn't then recuse himself from a criminal search warrant. And this is mind-boggling. And you've been very strong on this. Give me your reaction when you first heard this.
I'm so glad you're talking about this. When I first saw this, and guys, thank y'all for having me.
Sure.
But when I first saw this document, I said, "You got to be kidding me! This has got to be some type of a hoax on social media." And as I started to see more and more of the facts come out about this, I mean, this is incredibly troubling. I mean, this is the same Department of Justice dealing with the same judge who recused himself when Trump was going to sue Hillary Clinton, but now it's perfectly okay for him to sign the search warrant to go in the dark of morning to go raid the former president's residence.
Yeah, I mean, it's civil. If you're recusing yourself in a civil case, and as I said to our audience, he cited in his order 28 U.S.C. 455, Andy, which is the impartiality section, right?
That is correct. That is the section that says that a magistrate that might be impartial or impartiality might be questioned shall disqualify himself.
And he did. Jimmy, he did disqualify himself. Yeah, no question. He did it. He disqualified himself. The right thing to do. What was he thinking that 6 weeks later I could sign a search warrant on the same party that I just said I couldn't be impartial to? This is what's so outrageous. But you sent out a great tweet. It said, "This administration has lost its mind. It's corrupt. It's political. Only in a dictatorship do they use the power of government to eliminate their enemies." And before we get into the IRS thing, I just want to stick on this for another moment, Jimmy, and that is this. You're right. I just said this to in our previous segment to Rick Rennell. This idea that a federal judge now has shown his bias when he knew he could not be impartial and signs a search warrant in a criminal case, recuses himself from a civil case, puts the entire judicial branch of our government, kind of the guardian rail here of a constitutional republic, in jeopardy. What's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I look at, Chuck Schumer's own words when he was on Maddow. He says, if you take on the intelligence community, they've got 6 ways from Sunday to get you back. So, I mean, so they went and found a friendly judge who already had a sympathy towards the Democrats or Obama, writing thousands of dollars in campaign contributions. It just never stopped. So they handpicked who they went to get this search warrant. There's no two ways about it.
Well, they certainly went to the Southern District of Florida where it was. And Cece, you brought that up. And I don't know the procedure on how they get them. Right. I do know this. This judge knew he shouldn't have done it.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it so suspect. It looks like they were hand shopping who they could get to sign this warrant, a criminal warrant. And it was the magistrate who had already said, I'm biased. I have a bias against President Trump.
It's not like, Jimmy, it's not like somebody's making a motion about, you should maybe have to recuse yourself because you're impartial. He made this motion, what they call sui sponte, on his own. He said, I'm biased. I can't do it. I want to ask you this question, and I want to get into this IRS matter. And that is this. How important do you think it is right now for conservatives? I mean, I think we've reached a tipping point here. How important is it, do you think, for conservatives at this point to start pushing back on these abuses and calling it for what it is?
Well, part of me kind of feels like the Congress right now knows their days are numbered. There's going to be a revolution in the House of Representatives. Rick Scott is leading the effort to make the revolution a reality in the Senate. And I think they're trying to run the tables as much as they can while they have their razor-thin margin that they've got. So, hopefully this empowers. We say we're going to get 40 members in the House. Hopefully this can get us to the point where we get 46 members, maybe 47 members, because this is an incredibly overreach of power against the citizens of the United States.
Jimmy, you are the chief financial officer for the state of Florida. You are, of course, a partner in your family's well-known business, Captain Anderson's, which has been around for a very long time, and I think it's the best seafood restaurant in the country. I will say that. But you also are responsible in your public life for the finances of the state of Florida. And we are now seeing you got this Inflation Reduction Act that the administration put forward, and then you have this funding within it of the IRS, who is an institution that I sued on behalf of conservative organizations because they were targeted by the IRS, that is institutionally incapable of correcting itself. You're a finance guy. I mean, you're a business guy. This IRS move and this move with the Inflation Reduction Act, I think, is another attack on civil liberties and doesn't also make financial sense.
Well, first off, whenever Congress names a bill, I think it usually does the opposite of whatever they say it's going to do. So you just reflect on the Affordable Care Act. There was nothing affordable about health care after that. So when you think of the Inflation Reduction Act, all this is going to do is add to the inflation crisis. We're going to add 87,000 new IRS agents to the job roles to go out there and harvest dollars from the citizens of the United States. And look, I fear they're going to target Florida. There's $23 billion in new wage growth that the state of Florida has gotten over the last year. California has lost $18 billion in the same period. So, look, Florida's prosperity has become the jealousy of the federal government. Ron DeSantis is living rent-free in Joe Biden's head. And I think this is all part of a big scheme to grow government while they have the ability to influence the agenda.
Yeah, I think you're right. And this is Logan Secula, by the way. Great to actually talk to you. I know we've conversed a few times on social media, but it's very interesting to see this coming. And specifically, you said Florida and how Florida has thrived and how you've seen so many people move to Florida. I'm a property owner in the state of Florida, proud property owner in the state of Florida. But you've also done some really interesting things, even for the support of Israel and things we've talked about with the scrutinized companies list. I think you've seen Florida move forward where actual people want to go, where they want to see, whether it's Ben and Jerry's or whoever it was a few weeks ago that you were dealing with, in seeing those kind of mainstream ideas that people want to, the media wants to pretend don't exist. But the state of Florida has proven now that this is really the mainstream.
Well, I like being held accountable. And it's in the restaurant business. My attitude's always been is you take care of the customer or another restaurant will. And my attitude in Tallahassee has always been is we're going to take care of our constituents or I'm going to find somebody else that will. So we have very little patience for giving citizens of the state of Florida the runaround. We work very hard to give them a responsible responsible need to their services. So, I mean, I'm very proud of the job we do in Florida, very proud of Governor DeSantis. I'm very proud of our Republican members of Congress and the fights they're keeping up with right now. And I'm looking forward to the bright new day in November.
Jimmy, I want to underscore a word you said, and that is fight. I mean, look, I deal with, as people know, I deal with the courts. I represented President Trump in some of the most contentious matters in our nation's history. And then to have this happen is so incredible. And I just what are you hearing from your constituents in the state of Florida? This, because my phone is exploding. I can't imagine that yours is anything less than that.
I was at a large group dinner last night, and that's all everybody was talking about was the outrage of how our federal government has crossed the line, and all they look is the hypocrisy that has existed in the decision making in these administrations. And look, I think that they're an axe to grind with people at the Department of Justice towards Trump. Maybe, but Trump kept calling them out for their hypocrisy. I mean, the agenda is politically motivated. 51% of general folks polled said this is politically motivated by Trump's opponents. But the beautiful thing is 81% of Republicans said this charges them up more to go vote this November, which I'm very, unfortunately, maybe this needed to happen to be able to get the extra, maybe even a supermajority in Congress.
Absolutely right. Jimmy Patronis, Chief Financial Officer of Florida. Thanks for being on. We look forward to having you back. Great insight. Thanks for being with us.